There is so much advice online about how to grow on social media, and it can be really overwhelming if you're trying to formulate a plan for starting from scratch. You know you want to be a full-time content creator, but you don't really know what you should be posting about, where you should be posting it, or how you're even going to make money off of all of this. Well, you've come to the right place because that is exactly what I want to cover in today's video. Now that I have an established audience on YouTube and Instagram, and to a lesser extent TikTok and my podcast, I often think about what I would prioritize if I had to go back to the beginning and start from zero on any of these platforms. Because I feel like I've definitely learned a lot along the way of growing this audience that would make the whole process a lot faster the second time around, and I wanted to share those insights with you. And by the way, today's video is sponsored by Riverside, which is my favorite way to record podcasts online, but we'll talk more about them later. Okay, people, we are starting from scratch. We are going back to basics, and the first thing that you need to embrace if you're serious about being a full-time content creator is you need to think about yourself as a business. Becoming a full-time content creator is essentially building an online media company, and I feel like not enough people are talking about it that way. So many people go into it with the mindset of like, oh yeah, I just post stuff for fun and then I happen to get free stuff and get paid for it sometimes and it's fun. If you just want this to be a hobby or a side hustle, that's fine. But if you're serious about building a career that's actually sustainable and can like fund your life, then I really think you need to start thinking about yourself as a business owner from the very beginning. When you understand this mindset that as a creator, you are a business owner, like you own an online media brand, then some of the strategy stuff starts to become more clear for you. For example, as a growing business, you know that you need a target customer, or as we like to say as content creators, target audience. You know that you need to offer a quality product that's going to solve a problem for your customers, or as we might otherwise say, good quality content that people are actually interested in watching. And as a business owner, you know that you need to fill a space in the market that is not currently too saturated and actually might be a little untapped. And what this really means is creating content in your own unique style, or creating content in a niche that is already out there but maybe needs a little bit of shaking up, or that you have something unique that you can bring to the table. Having this mindset of like really bringing it back to the basics of like supply and demand, market research, understanding your customer/viewer. When you come into it with that mindset, you can make the most strategic decisions that are going to help you grow faster. Remember, you're not just starting a YouTube channel, you are making a business plan. And that is basically what we're going to do in this video. We are going to talk about figuring out what you should be posting, where you should be posting it and how often, and how you're going to actually make money from all of this. So let's dive into it. Okay, so what are you going to create content about? Chances are if you clicked on this video, you probably already have some topics and ideas in mind, whether that's cooking, travel, tech reviews, gaming, gardening, or just general lifestyle content. You might expect that the first piece of advice I'd have for you is to pick a niche, but I actually think there's a better approach. Niches, or in other words, focusing in on a very specific genre or topic or theme, can be a very helpful growth strategy, especially if you want to teach something. But I often find it can feel limiting to a lot of creators because you can end up feeling kind of boxed in to a very specific subject area. And it can really feel like you're held back from posting about what you really want to post about because you've become known for a very specific thing. So instead of picking a strict niche, this is what I would recommend doing when you're thinking about, okay, what am I actually going to post? Really ask yourself, what kind of content do I want to share? And when you start to narrow in on a list, like a few ideas, start to come up with actual video ideas or content ideas for Instagram or TikTok ideas or whatever, and see if you can come up with a bunch of them. Like if you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel, see if you can write down like 52 video ideas. That is a very good test of whether or not you think you actually have enough to say on a specific topic or genre or whatever to include it as part of your strategy. The reason I say 52 is because it's like, are you gonna be able to post about this weekly on your YouTube channel? And as you're thinking about these specific ideas or themes, really try to ask yourself, do you think there is interest or energy for this on the internet at large? Like, is there demand for what you want to supply, basically? Because when it comes down to it, your niche is not just gonna be a very specific topic. Instead, what it's gonna be is the overlap between your interests and your audience's interests. Because in order to sustain this long term, ideally, you're gonna like what you talk about. You're gonna be personally interested in it, but in order for it to be financially successful, your audience obviously needs to be interested in it too, so we're looking for that overlap. Okay, but I don't have an audience yet, right? Because I'm starting from scratch. So how do I figure out what my audience is interested in? Basically, we're gonna do a bit of market research and a bit of strategic thinking to really ensure that the content that you wanna make is going to be appreciated and consumed by as many people as possible. One great place to start is by asking yourself, who is going to find me relatable or potentially aspirational? A huge part of who we watch on YouTube or who we follow on Instagram is people that we find are similar to ourselves. We feel like we could get along with them, or we would like to be more similar to them, right? Like if you think about who you follow, that's probably the case for most of those people. So think about who might find you relatable or aspirational. That's gonna be a really good hint at who your target audience is gonna be. Another thing you could ask, who is going to be interested in the stuff that I wanna talk about? Try to build out a bit of a profile in your mind of like the demographics or the other adjacent interests of people that are going to find your videos interesting. Trying to put some words and categories and descriptors to this is really gonna help you start to flesh out who your audience is gonna be. And finally, this is where the market research really comes in, asking yourself who is already watching similar content to what I want to make. This is where you can check out your competitors and figure out who their audience is, like who are their key community members. This is probably a good indication of who might become your community members. So from all these questions and this like investigation, you can kind of build out a sense of who your target audience is going to be. This is very, very important because one of the key mistakes that a lot of beginner creators make is just creating content for themselves, like as if they singularly are the target audience of their videos. And that's not usually a great strategy for large scale success. So it's really good if you can create videos not just with yourself in mind, but with this potential larger audience. And I think from a creative perspective, it's just really helpful to have this person in mind. Like for me, I know a few people in my own personal life who are kind of in the early stages of becoming a content creator. They ask me questions about it, they have curiosities, and those are the people that I keep in my mind when I'm writing my video scripts. And it's way easier to write something that feels like there's a personal connection there, like that you're really speaking to your ideal audience if you have like a real life person, or even if it's just an imaginary singular person that you're speaking to. It's just really key that you create with your audience in mind, because ultimately your audience is going to be what actually brings about the like commercial success of your YouTube video, right? So if you're not thinking about them at all, it's not gonna be strategic from a business perspective. So really think about who you're creating for. Okay, so next we need to talk about where you're gonna be posting this content. As an aspiring creator, chances are you probably have a favorite platform where you like to consume content. I find for the most part, for a lot of creators, where they post the most often or where they care the most about posting is probably where they first got inspired to become a creator. So for me, that was YouTube. I started this channel because I loved watching YouTubers and it seemed really fun. But some people get started because they love what they're seeing on TikTok and they wanna get in on it. So it all just depends on where you're most passionate about. And I really do think it's important to lean into that passion and interest, because in my opinion, the best creators were people who were passionate consumers of content first. It's also important to know that you don't need to post everywhere all at once. A lot of people feel like in order to be successful, they're going to need to have a consistent content strategy on every social platform, but that's actually gonna be a recipe for disaster if you hold yourself to that standard from the jump. I would highly, highly encourage you to start with one or maybe two at the most. I think the best formula for success is gonna be starting with the platform where you are the biggest fan of content, where you like spending the most time. You're gonna be better at creating this kind of content and you're also just gonna enjoy it more. And then you maybe pick a secondary platform to be complementary to it. I think the best balance is having one platform that's more evergreen and one platform that's a bit more timely. Evergreen platforms would include YouTube, starting a blog, or having a podcast. These are long form, value-packed pieces of content that people can continue to discover even weeks or months after you've published it. Timely content, that's places like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter/X, I guess, LinkedIn, Facebook. It all depends on like who your target audience is, where you're gonna choose. And so I think having one from each of those lists is a really good balance. It allows you the discoverability and the evergreen benefits of those long form platforms, but then also the community building and timeliness of the more timely platforms. And I really do think it's important that you choose to post where you know the content best. The reason why this is so significant is because if you are a fan of content somewhere, then you are going to be keenly aware of like what's engaging, what's interesting, what feels boring or cliche. If you come into a platform completely fresh and you've hardly even watched content there, it's gonna be really hard to know what's good or what's gonna perform well. Just like they say, if you want to be a good writer, you need to read lots of books. If you want to be a good content creator, you need to consume a lot of content. So if you're passionate about being a YouTuber, watch a ton of YouTube videos. If you want to grow on Instagram, consume a bunch of Instagram content and get a sense of what performs well and what actually makes a good video or reel or post or whatever. Okay, so once you know where you're gonna post, you've kind of landed on a platform, it's important that you actually have a schedule for what you're gonna post there. That's what I would be thinking about if I was starting from scratch, right? It's like choose a platform, make a schedule for it. So let's rapid fire really quick, go through a bunch of the potential platforms you might be thinking about and talk about what the ideal posting schedule might be. Okay, so for YouTube, I'm gonna recommend that you post weekly videos, probably aiming for like the 8 to 12 minute mark of length. I'm gonna recommend you check out this video that I made where I break down the 3H method for planning out your strategy, and I actually give you like a 12-month plan of what breakdown to do in each quarter of your first year of posting. That's a lot to get into for this video, so watch that one if you wanna know more about YouTube. If you wanna grow a podcast, weekly is also a good cadence for that. And I think it's really important that you come up with a good, consistent format. When it comes to podcasts, it's a part of somebody's routine. They come to depend on it. They want to know what they can expect from each and every episode. So you might want to think about doing segments beyond just your intro and outro and your main section of your podcast. Maybe you have individual segments that you go through each week. Have some repetition, have some structure. That's what people really look for in podcasts. Instagram. Okay, when it comes to your Instagram schedule, first of all, I want to suggest that you think about your Instagram almost like it's a TV show about your brand with different segments. So maybe you have a different segment for each day of the week, and these segments hone in on a subtopic of your niche. So like, let's just say I had an Instagram about van life. Maybe on Monday, it would be like easy meals for cooking in a van. And then Tuesday, it would be like van life vlogs. And then maybe Wednesday, it would be like van life road trip itineraries or route suggestions. So you can think about how you can have different themes for each day of the week that are kind of part of your overall genre or niche or theme. But it helps you break it down and kind of give you some structure or some place to start brainstorming, and people can come to rely on those different categories of what you share. And again, I think posting once every weekday is probably good, especially if you're really going for growth. If that's not reasonable for you on Instagram, you could aim for like 3 days a week. So maybe like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And of course, posting every weekday on stories is recommended as well, if you can make it happen. Okay, let's talk TikTok. I think on TikTok, you can also have a different days, different theme approach like on Instagram. But I think something else that really works well on TikTok is, again, posting, let's say Monday through Friday every day. But instead of doing a different theme for each day of the week, you maybe do a different format. So let's say Mondays, you do like a green screen video where there's like a list of tips from your notes app as your background and you talk through them. Maybe Tuesday is your behind the scenes vlog with a voiceover. Maybe Wednesday you share a tutorial, and Thursday could be like a chatty update video while you do your makeup. So you have these different formats, these different styles of videos, and then you can switch out what the topic or the theme is for each of them. That can be a really great way to add structure and, again, give you a starting point for brainstorming, so you're not just completely starting from scratch when you're trying to come up with video ideas. You know that, okay, Monday's my green screen video, Tuesday's my vlog, Wednesday's my tutorial, Thursday's my like chatty FaceTime update. You have a starting point. And yeah, well, some people would probably say posting 3 times a day on TikTok is gonna be the way to grow. I'm not gonna argue with that, but I think reasonably posting once a day on weekdays, give yourself the weekends off, is a really solid place to start. Of course, the pace, the style, the categories of themes, all of this stuff can evolve over time. You don't need to feel married to a schedule that you started when you were getting started from zero, but I think Having that kind of structure, having a calendar laid out for you to kind of use as your checklist or use as your workflow is really, really helpful for building up that consistency. Now, in order to actually implement this strategy to execute on all of your content ideas, you're gonna need the right tools to make it happen. One of my favorite tools for content creators is Riverside, who also happens to be sponsoring today's video. Riverside is my favorite way to record podcasts online, but it's an incredible tool for content creation in general. You can record any talking head style content there. For example, your YouTube videos. And then you can take advantage of the AI editing tools that make repurposing for social content so much easier. If you do want to record podcasts, the platform makes it so easy because all you need to do is send a link to your guest and then Riverside takes care of the rest, including recording full HD video for both of you and studio quality audio that you can download as separate tracks, which makes editing a breeze. A few weeks ago, I recorded an episode of my Creator Club podcast with my friend Molly on Riverside, and the whole process was so seamless. Plus, Riverside has recently released some really cool new features, including Magic Clips, which uses AI to detect the most interesting parts of your podcast and breaks it down into clips for sharing on social media. Oh, and their AI transcription feature makes it so easy to grab a transcript of your podcast and repurpose it into a blog post, for example. Riverside is helpful for all kinds of creators, whether you're podcasting or if you want to include interviews in your YouTube videos, or if you want to do an interview series on TikTok or Instagram Reels. It is the perfect way to get studio quality interviews while recording online. Start recording all of your remote interviews using Riverside. Check them out at the link in my description. The next thing that I would do if I was starting from scratch, and admittedly this is different than how I actually did start, but if I could go back, I would do this differently, and that is monetizing from the very beginning. I feel like the old approach for creators was to create everything for free for like years and years until you could build up a large audience, and then you would start monetizing. Usually through like selling merch or doing brand deals or finally turning on AdSense. But I feel like this is really from a time when viewers were less accustomed to creators making money off of their content. I think all of us who are creating now are fortunate to be in a position where our audiences are understanding of us including brand deals or having ads on our videos, because people have a better sense now that like this is work and it takes work to do. It's not just like a hobby that we're all doing for fun or whatever, which used to be the perception like 10 years ago. And so basically that means audiences are more sympathetic to creators actually making money now, which is nice, because it used to be that people would like cancel you for having a brand deal because you were a sellout. So let's all just feel fortunate that that's not the case anymore. So I personally think that if you want to be strategic starting from scratch as a creator, it's a really great idea to implement these monetization strategies as early as you can, because if you have them in place and you start to all of a sudden gain more traffic, like one of your videos really pops off or you have a viral TikTok or whatever, then you already have those methods in place to capture that traffic and turn it into revenue, basically. Okay, so I know you're probably thinking, yeah, but Katie, I like have 500 followers. How am I gonna get brand deals? I get it. Not everything is accessible from the very beginning, but there are a few things that you can do from the start that'll be really great to have in place once you do start seeing more growth. Okay, so for one, you can build out an affiliate marketing strategy. So find those products, those things that you like to recommend to the people that are just in your real life or your followers already, and get affiliate links for those things. You can set up a like shop my faves kind of page on your website or at your link in bio page. And as you just organically get more traffic to your content, people can buy using your links and you can earn like a little bit of money off of it. You can also create your own digital products from the start, whether that's templates, an ebook, a little like recorded workshop, whatever it might be for you. You can start selling your own offers from the very beginning. And again, that will just continue to scale as your traffic continues to scale. Also remember, once you start creating those offers, that you actually can mention them in your content. That's something I'm guilty of. Like I always forget to talk about all of the Notion templates and everything else that I have because I just get too excited talking about the video topic. But if you are persistent about promoting your own offers throughout your content, then you will see a lot better return on that. Along with that, I highly recommend from the very beginning building an email marketing strategy. Now, you don't have to have like a weekly newsletter or anything like that that's really labor intensive, but I would recommend setting up an email list, having some kind of like freebie that you're giving away, whether it's like a checklist or some kind of PDF or whatever, like a light version maybe of one of your digital products to get people on your email list. And then you can build out an email marketing funnel that will eventually sell them your digital products down the road. And it's just really helpful to actually like own that access to your audience rather than just depending on algorithms to get you in front of your viewers. Later on, of course, you can incorporate more stuff like brand deals and other monetization opportunities, but I really think that affiliate marketing and selling your own digital products and building an email list are such key things that you can do from the very beginning to actually turn this into a business. The biggest piece of advice that I can give you when you're starting from scratch is that you kind of need to treat being a creator like it's your full-time job in order to make it your full-time job. When I started to take YouTube seriously and I was really focused on making this into my career back in late 2018, I started working on this like it was my full-time job. Like it was a non-negotiable for me to post 2 videos a week. That was my schedule at the time. Even though I was not making any money off of this, fortunately I was a freelance videographer at the time, so I was able to generate some income that allowed me the flexibility to dedicate so much time to YouTube. But it really took about 8 months of me sort of pretending like I was a full-time YouTuber to actually start seeing some money come in from this. Now I know I was really fortunate to have that flexibility and that time of doing freelance work and also having a partner who had an income, so like I could focus this much time on it. I know not everybody has that, but I just think it's important to be realistic about how much time and energy it really does take to grow something like this. So maybe you can't focus on it full time like I was, maybe you have to do it part-time, but then maybe it's gonna take 16 months instead of 8. The timelines are always gonna be different for everybody. There's no guarantees. It's very hard to predict, but I just think it's helpful for me to be honest about how long it really took me so that you can have a sense of what to expect. If I was starting a brand new YouTube channel from zero, or brand new Instagram or brand new TikTok, whatever it might be, I personally would not expect to really make any money off of it for the first year. Obviously, it's not always the case. That can shift. You can get lucky and go viral, but that's just the expectation I would put on myself. Now, I don't want this to feel discouraging. Mostly, I really want to encourage you, if you made it to this point in the video, clearly you're very dedicated to this journey and excited about building this business, and I'm excited for you. I want you to know that this is possible. You can do it. I spent many years feeling like it was totally impossible and I would never get to this point, but eventually I did. And you can too. I think there's so much space in the creator economy. There's so many people that are looking for what you have to share. So just keep going, keep the faith, and put your strategy in place. Stay dedicated to it, and eventually you will get there. Now, if you want more tips about starting a YouTube channel in particular, I just posted this video about why 90% of YouTube channels fail. So if you want to avoid that fate, watch that video to find out why. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having adventures and following your dreams, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.